All right, good morning. I wanted to, well, it's funny actually, right before I got on, I noticed that a friend of mine that I grew up with posted that he had some goals and had a new plan for achieving those goals. And I thought, you know what, it's pretty timely because that's exactly what I want to talk about today. And really what I want to do is give you kind of three strategies for both goal setting and then how to stick to those goals. And a few things. First, I noticed that my friend posted this on Facebook saying that he had a new plan and he was going after it. And last week I had a coaching call with a client, and when we were going through his goals, because that's generally what happens first, is like finding out where you're at and then where you want to get to, and then my job is to figure out how to get you from point A to point B. Well, in that, I think what happens is when people set their point B, and point B is like where they want to get to, what I find is a few things. First, they rush the goal setting, meaning they view it as homework, and it's like, well, I'm just going to write down and get it done real quick so I can send it over to Shane. I get it. I've done that myself. The challenge with that is that they're not my goals. And so if you set kind of goals that either you think they sound good, or they're not really exciting, or you didn't put a lot of energy and effort into, what happens is you're not going to put the energy in to actually get after it and really pursue those goals. So I know when I went through this exercise with my coach, and you have to remember, so I've had 3 coaches in the past 18 months, maybe a little more. And the first coach was like 12 months, and it was just straight goal setting, if you will. So set goals, achieve, set, achieve. And then it was a lot of the emotions and the mindset to kind of really go after those goals. So my last coach, I thought, okay, I know goal setting. I don't really need to do this anymore. We went through it. I set 3 personal and 3 business goals. And he sent me back probably 2 or 3 times where I had to go back and take probably an hour to 2 hours each time minimum, really defining what is that goal that I wanted. The personal goals were a little bit easier, if you will, whether it was, my fitness goals or something that I wanted to do in terms of a vacation with my family. But the business goals, when I wrote my book, I thought, okay, I want to sell 1,000 copies. And Matthew, he asked me, why do you want to sell 1,000 copies? How does that get you to the end goal that you're really trying to achieve? And it was interesting because I realized I didn't need to sell 1,000 books. I could give away books for free. I could launch a podcast. I could do Facebook Lives like this. I mean, there was just so many different ways that I could achieve my goal that I realized the goal of selling 1,000 books was not really a goal at all. It was just something that I thought I needed. And so, excuse me, sometimes it's important to write out your goals and then really figure out, like I said, almost either talk to someone that is going to be supportive and helpful, and they can kind of test you a little bit, but not test you in the sense that coming from a place that is caring and loving, if you will, right? Like you want to make sure that person is there to help and support you. And I knew when I was discussing that with Matthew, he was doing it from a place of pushing me to be better, not pushing me for the sake of just questioning me, if you will. So let's get into today. I've kind of went through it, but I want to break down each of the sections of how to set your goals. So the first is really, why would you even set goals? And I guess the best answer that I can give you is this. Anytime you try to do something new, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to require some change and sacrifice. And so the more specific you are on what your goals are, the more likely you're going to follow through. And a strategy or tactic, if you will, is to make sure that your goals are specific and measurable. And the reason for that is when you have vague goals, I want to get into shape. Like I don't even know what that means. Like for me, what being in shape is versus, my wife or my friend or whoever, like they're completely different. I mean, I can talk to some of my wife's cousins, and they're like specimens in terms of how fit they are. And so for them, their definition of being in shape might be like 6% body fat and completing an Ironman. Or for me, it might be running a 10K in, such and such a time. So that's why it's really critical to have those kind of very specific and measurable goals. You know what? I'm going to grab mine and I'll read one of them out here for you, just so you get an idea. Okay, so I had, I wasn't planning to do this. Okay, I want to weigh 195 pounds by March 30th, 2019. And my why was I want to complete, I put here the Kelowna Marathon in October 2019. So that was a very specific goal that I had. Now here's the thing, sometimes goals change. Because I'm launching a new business and I haven't had as much time to train. And that was actually a comment that my coach made to me. It may not be that I do a marathon this year. It might be that I do a half marathon, and I do the half marathon in a specific time. This year would be, I'd like to get it at 140. But it doesn't matter what my goals are. I'm just sharing these with you so that you have some perspective on how to set your goals, and then how to have them specific and measurable so that you follow through. So that's kind of step one. Okay. Step two is understanding why you're setting these goals, because really what's going to happen is there's going to be bumps along the way and there's going to be challenges. And so if you don't have that fuel that keeps you going, and why you're getting up early, why you're doing the extra exercise, why you're making the extra phone calls, whatever it happens to be, it's easy to fall off. So having a really clear why, and I'll talk about how to kind of lay that out a little bit more in a second. What day was it? Thursday or Friday? My brother came over, and we went and looked at some houses, just kind of for fun. We liked that, just seeing what's available. And as we were leaving, so Mark set up 2 houses for us to see, and the first house was nice, but it really didn't inspire me, in the sense that it was kind of like, yeah, it might be a little bit nicer than the one we have, but are we really going to go through all the hassle and exercise of moving just to have a house that's maybe a little bit nicer? And quite frankly, I like this one because we put a lot of sweat equity into this house. So as we were leaving, we were driving back, and I said, Kelly, let's drive down the street of the house that we really like. Happened to be a gentleman that was just finishing up, it's not listed yet, but we have been watching it because it backs onto the school that our kids go to. So we called the number. It wasn't, the gentleman wasn't answering. So I said, well, I think that there's someone in there because there's a truck outside. So we go up, we knock. He's like, yeah, come on in. He's like, we're actually putting it on the market next week. So he was nice enough to tour us through the house, and like that, both Kelly and I were thinking, okay, this is the house that we want. Now, this house is certainly outside of our budget. It's just under 1.4 million. However, all of a sudden, now we have like a target to move towards, and it might take us a couple of years. It's likely going to sell before we're in a position to purchase it. However, that image, if you will, of the house and why we want it, which is to be able to see our kids and walk them to school and watch them playing, and like all those kind of emotional reasons are kind of the fuel for both of us to kind of stay on the path and commit to this financial independent, financial free lifestyle that we're trying to build. So I hope that helps. I'll just kind of do a quick recap here. And that is kind of when you're setting your goals, if you take the time to think about the 3 personal and 3 business or professional goals that you've got, write those out, really take time to think about those. Then I want you to write why you want to achieve each one of those goals. And they can be kind of like, you want to keep it to kind of 200 to 300 words. You don't want to kind of go beyond that. because the idea is that every day you're going to wake up like I do, and I've got my goals right here in front of me. Now, I'll be honest, I don't always read them, but I can tell you that every week when I review my goals, I pull this out, I read them, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing today to move towards those goals? And then the last thing, if you're able to get a picture of the type of goals that you're going after, i.e. for us, it was the house, but it could be anything. It could be a vacation, it could be a vehicle. The idea is to have something that kind of keeps you motivated and on track. And the more you can really internalize and emotionalize those reasons for achieving those goals, I think that you'll find that you'll have that kind of passion to keep going after it. So hope that was helpful. That's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye for now.